Hey everyone, welcome back to another installment of Project Climate Delta. I'm going to be your host for today, and the topic of discussion is going to be the impact that climate change has had on our weather, most specifically in Canada. In Canada, the average annual temperature in the last 60 years has increased from roughly 1.6 degrees Celsius. That's no small number. It's one of the higher rates compared to the world, and it's most affected in the north of our country. The damages span in the form of droughts, in the form of floods, wildfires, you name it, there's a bunch. This country is lucky to have 8 out of their 10 provinces be near ocean or water borders. Okay, that means we have a lot of maritime region. This means that climate change has a huge impact on us with relation to sea level rise and ice formation across the country, especially because of our winters. Let's talk a little bit more about temperature. Essentially, climate change has caused temperatures to fluctuate to more extreme levels. What I mean by that is that when it's summertime and it's quite hot, you may not notice, but the actual weather is way hotter than it used to be. You may be happy because you feel like you're sitting on a beach in the middle of a northern country. That's not necessarily a good thing for the environment. The opposite is true for the winter. So what that basically means is that we have less extreme cold days in the winter. This is actually quite significant, although some of you may be happy to hear this, but this trend is projected to continue into quite a far future. In the future, what that means is that higher temperatures will lead to more potential fires and extreme precipitation. This means more floods, more droughts, and way more wildfires, among others. Let me talk a little bit about annual average temperature. Let me give you a quick statistics that's supposed to happen in year 2080 to year 2100. Temperature is supposed to rise to an estimated 8 degrees Celsius, and that's just in northern Canada. That's huge. That has huge implications on our weather. One of them is precipitation. Precipitation is said to generally increase as an annual average, but increase is more significant in the north of Canada. This impacts many other things, including snow cover. What's important about snow cover is that the proportion of the year with snow cover decreased across most of Canada. It's considered to be roughly 5 to 10% decrease per decade. That's no small number. There's also the effect of sea ice. In the Canadian Arctic, perennial sea ice is being replaced by thinner seasonal sea ice. By 2050, most of the Canadian Arctic will actually have lost its sea ice density, having huge impacts on our wildlife habitat. Consequently, this also affects glaciers and ice caps. They've suffered huge mass losses, which is one of the main sources of sea level rise across the world. This is from our country and it impacts the rest of the world. This leads me to talk to you a little bit about permafrost. Permafrost temperature has increased over the past 3 to 4 decades. It's projected that the effects will largely influence our environment's carbon cycle, affects every other living organism, including ourselves in the world. And what about oceans? Well, oceans are becoming more acidic and less oxygenated with every year that we live on this planet, which will intensify emissions of greenhouse gases. That means even if we reduce the greenhouse gases, the impact of them is just going to increase. The impact on marine ecosystem is incredibly worrisome due to this, and there has even been more coastal flooding in much of Canada. So what's going on in order to adapt? What are we doing, and what is our society trying to do to accomplish this? As you know, I like to finish my videos on a bit of a more positive note, so let's talk about this. Public health managers are developing surveillance and control methods for diseases that are becoming more common in Canada. These diseases are quite impactful. One of them is Lyme disease, which I'm sure you've heard about. Municipalities and local cities are planting more trees to help improve the oxygen level of our cities. People are generally trying to reduce energy consumption as a whole, which is quite nice to hear actually. Let me talk to you a little bit about an industry that without it we wouldn't even survive. This one's agriculture. The impact that climate change has had on weather and subsequently agriculture is so significant we can't avoid it. We have to think about it and we have to consider it an important thing to improve on. Agriculture has done things such as introducing new crops They've been shifting planting times during the year. They've tried to improve water management practices. And they even have to do more monitoring of livestock diseases and pests in order to treat diseases and at least to see if they have diseases more preemptively. Anyways, that's it for me. This was the impact climate change has on weather, and I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks.